Supreme Court's landmark immigration ruling, what it really means for you. A single Supreme Court decision has rewritten how immigration enforcement and family protection will work across the United States from this point forward. If you or someone you love is navigating the immigration system, this ruling could directly shape your rights, your future, and your family's stability. The court's decision isn't just another legal story, it's a major turning point in how laws are applied, enforced, and understood across every community. Let's unpack what the court decided, what it changes immediately, and how this affects millions of immigrants living across the country right now. The core issue: who controls immigration enforcement? The Supreme Court ruled in a case that asked one defining question: who has real control over immigration enforcement, the government or the courts? For decades, immigration enforcement has depended on how agencies like ICE and DHS choose to use their limited resources across millions of cases. The government argued it should decide which cases to prioritize, focusing on criminals, national security threats, and recent border crossers before others. Opponents argued that prioritizing cases without strict legal oversight could lead to unequal treatment and violations of constitutional rights for immigrants. The court's decision landed in the middle, affirming that the government does have discretion, but only within clear, constitutional boundaries that protect individuals. What the ruling actually says. The court confirmed that executive agencies can set enforcement priorities, but they must still respect due process and equal protection under the Constitution. That means federal immigration officers can choose where to focus enforcement, but they cannot act in ways that ignore fairness or basic human rights. In simpler terms, the government has flexibility, but not unlimited power. Legal protections remain in place for everyone, regardless of immigration status. This balance gives the administration room to manage its workload while keeping the courts involved as a safeguard against abuse or arbitrary decisions. The court's message was clear: enforcement priorities are necessary, but justice and procedure must never be optional in a constitutional democracy. Why this case matters right now? This decision matters because it reshapes how enforcement works for families already inside the United States, not just those arriving at the border. For years, inconsistent enforcement left many immigrants unsure whether they were safe, even with clean records and pending applications. Now, immigration agencies must operate under a more defined framework that respects both resource limitations and individual rights under federal law. In practice, this could mean fewer blanket deportations and more careful review of cases involving long-term residents, family ties, or humanitarian grounds. It's not amnesty, and it doesn't create new pathways, but it does change how fairness and discretion are applied in real-world enforcement. Real-world impact on families. For many immigrant families, this ruling provides a small but meaningful sense of stability after years of legal uncertainty and shifting policies. A parent facing deportation for a minor violation may now benefit from case reviews that consider family ties, community support, and moral conduct. Families with mixed immigration status, where one member is a citizen and another is undocumented, could see more consistent treatment from immigration officers. Attorneys say this new framework gives families more predictability when preparing for interviews, appeals, or deferred action requests under DHS guidelines. In short, this decision encourages fairness in practice, recognizing that immigration law is not just about enforcement but about humanity and responsibility. The limits of the ruling. Still, the court didn't hand full power to immigrants or the government. It drew a line that neither side can cross without accountability. While enforcement discretion remains legal, it cannot be used to ignore laws or apply them inconsistently across similar cases and communities. The justices emphasized that the Constitution remains the ultimate referee, and courts can still intervene if government actions violate fundamental rights. This means families and advocates will continue to have a voice when enforcement feels arbitrary or politically motivated, a crucial check in the system. However, it also means the federal government retains the final say in most resource decisions, such as staffing, removal priorities, and prosecution focus. How it affects pending immigration cases. If you have an immigration case in progress, the effects of this decision could appear gradually through updated DHS memos and internal review processes. Attorneys expect more consistent communication between field offices, fewer random detentions during routine check-ins, and clearer criteria for enforcement decisions. Those awaiting green cards or adjustment of status might not see immediate changes, but future policy updates could reduce unnecessary case backlogs. Importantly, this ruling doesn't erase prior orders of removal, it simply influences how and when they might be enforced based on broader priorities. If your case involves humanitarian factors or strong family ties, this ruling strengthens the argument for fairer, more deliberate review by DHS. A step toward predictability and trust. One of the biggest takeaways from this ruling is the restoration of predictability in immigration enforcement, which has long been missing from the system. For years, immigrant families have faced unpredictable outcomes, where one case received compassion and another nearly identical case faced removal. By requiring balance between discretion and fairness, the court aims to create a more uniform approach that restores faith in the legal process itself. This isn't a cure for every flaw in the system, but it's a step toward treating immigration enforcement as a legal process, not a political weapon. Predictability gives families hope and helps legal representatives provide better guidance and preparation for their clients navigating complex procedures. Potential challenges ahead. Despite the clarity of the court's language, the practical implementation of this ruling could still be slow and uneven across different jurisdictions. Enforcement priorities often vary by state, field office, and local leadership, meaning some regions could apply these standards faster than others. This inconsistency could lead to new disputes and lawsuits challenging how DHS and ICE interpret their discretion under the court's framework. Advocates warn that without proper oversight, the promise of fairness could still fall victim to bureaucracy or inconsistent regional enforcement practices. Monitoring and accountability will be critical to ensure that the principles behind this decision translate into real protection for those affected. What immigrants should do now. If you're in the U.S. with a pending case or uncertain status, this is the time to stay informed and proactive about your legal options. Consult a qualified immigration attorney to review how this ruling might influence your specific case or any future interactions with DHS or USCIS. Keep detailed records of all immigration correspondence, appointments, and past decisions. These details could now play a greater role in case evaluations. Avoid misinformation circulating online about automatic protection or new rights. This ruling refines enforcement, it doesn't replace immigration laws. Stay cautious, stay organized, and make sure your legal representation understands how enforcement priorities may shift over the coming months. A defining moment for U.S. immigration policy. This Supreme Court decision represents a defining moment for how America enforces its immigration laws while maintaining fairness and constitutional integrity. It shows that national security, public safety, and compassion don't have to compete, they can coexist under a structured, lawful framework. Families who've lived in fear for years may now see signs of fairness returning, while officers gain clearer guidance for lawful, consistent enforcement. For the first time in a long while, immigration policy looks slightly more predictable, not perfect, but grounded in a clearer sense of justice. And that matters deeply to every person who still believes in the promise of a fair and lawful immigration system. If you found this breakdown helpful, like this video, subscribe to U.S. Immigration Intel, and turn on notifications for more trusted immigration updates. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.